welcome to Friday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, where today we're going to be taking a look at a puzzle called Osaka by Florian Wortmann. Two of the testers who tried this said that this is an absolutely amazing puzzle. Very simple rule set as well today, just a diagonal constraint and normal killer Sudoku, that aside. So we'll have a look at this in a moment. I don't know how hard it is, by the way. You'll have to judge by the length of the video, assuming I have managed to solve it at all. But I've got loads of things to tell you about before we kick off today. The first is that we haven't streamed for a while, but we are going to hope to put that right on Sunday evening. Mark and I have been trying to align our diaries, and I'm going to be having a go at a game called The Looker, which seems to be a parody of the game The Witness, which I absolutely loved playing through last year. If you enjoyed watching me do battle with The Witness, you might enjoy me doing battle with The Looker, and that's what I'm planning to do. Probably be 10 o'clock on Sunday night UK time, but keep an eye on the channel. We'll announce it once we sort out our diaries. Now, next, I've got a couple of birthday announcements to talk about today. So Kim Otterstedt wanted us to wish her Aunt Martha a very happy birthday. Now, Aunt Martha, I understand you are the very epitome of a cool auntie and her favourite, which is rather lovely. So I hope you have a brilliant day. And now next, well, it's not a birthday, in fact, but for Chantal and Mark, it's your wedding day today. That's incredible. So apparently, well, so Mark's email told us that you enjoy watching our videos before bed. I hope that's not the case tonight. The less said about that, the better. But I hope you had a brilliant day. So to Chantal and Mark and to Aunt Martha, I hope you've had a day replete with much cake. And here comes Maverick actually flying over the house, which they are not meant to do. Sorry about that if you can hear that on your on your headphones. Now, next, loads of you have managed to solve Joseph Nehme's Sudoku Hunt over on Patreon. This is our monthly reward for July, and the following have managed to do it in the last 24 hours. So very well done to Mark Landener, to Tim Hodson, Chris Deeks, Jean-Yves Carrier, Brennan Arsenault, I think, Filippo Chona, maybe, George White, Alberto Valauri, Jeffrey Byrne, Simon Hudd, I did get your cryptic clue, Simon, Ryan Walker, Ben Cotter, Mark Glazebrook. Very, very well solved, all of you. And if you haven't had a go at that, do check it out. The feedback we've been getting from those who have solved it has just been amazing. I mean, Joseph's puzzles are always popular, but he seems to have outdone himself this time, and there are 13 of them, no less, to try. So that's available on Patreon right now. As in fact, that reminds me, is Mark's solve of the most recent Times Club Monthly Special crossword, which is this vicious cryptic crossword. So that's available over on Patreon as well. The only other thing I want to say is a thank you, actually, to Steve Passmore, who sent me a very interesting email about the Wirral puzzle stones, things I had not heard of before, even though I used to live not that far from the Wirral. But yeah, so I read a very interesting article in Liverpool Echo about that. So thanks for that, Steve. Now, all that said and done, let's get on with Osaka. I wonder why it's called Osaka. I have no idea. You guys will have to tell me. Is that an O? I don't know. No, I literally have no idea. But the rules are as follows. Normal Sudoku rules apply. Digits do not repeat on the marked diagonal, so this diagonal needs to contain the digits 1 to 9 once each. Digits in cages do not repeat and sum to the small number in the top left corner of the cage. That tells us, for example, that those 5 cells there sum to 19, and what we can't do is sort of put 3 here and then 3 here again and make these 3 cells add up to 13, because if we do that, although we don't seem to have broken the rules of Sudoku, we will have broken the rules of killer Sudoku, which requires no repeated digits in cages. Do have a go. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual. And now I get to play. Let's get cracking. And okay, so there are 2 things I'm seeing. Firstly, let's start with the easier things, which is that a 16 cage in 5 cells must be 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. And a 34 cage in 5 cells must be 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. Which I guess means that 5 actually, in this box, look, it can't be in a cage. So there is a 5 on the diagonals, which means that there's a 5 in either the 19 or the 18 cage in box 7. I don't think we know which one. The other thing I was noticing though at the start is we've got this great big cage here and a symmetrical great big cage there. In fact, that's rather lovely. I've just noticed there is symmetry, isn't there, in the geometry of the cages around the marked diagonal. So although this is not an 18 cage, the actual shapes of the cages are totally symmetrical, which is rather cute. Now, that's a 7-cell cage. Now, there is a secret. And the secret is something I only tell my very favourite people, but of course, if you're watching this video, you're definitely one of my favourite people. And the secret is that any complete box, any complete column, any complete row of a Sudoku, because it contains the digits 1 to 9 once each, sums to 45. So I want to ask the question, what would the total be if you found a 9-cell cage in a Sudoku? What would its total be? What would the number be that the digits have to sum to? Well, it'd obviously be 45, because every digit in the cage has to be different. Now, this is not a 9-cell cage, it's a 7-cell cage. Therefore, it's missing exactly 2 of the digits from 1 to 9, and those 2 digits must sum up to the difference between 45 and 32, which is 13. So this cage is either missing 4, 9, 5, 8, or 6, 7. Now, unfortunately, I don't know what that means. The same thing is true, but in a slightly different way, for this 38 cage. That's got to be missing 2 digits that add up to 7. So it's either missing 1, 6, 2, 5 or 3, 4. Okay, so now I'm wondering actually about these 3 digits, and the corollary of that is those 3 digits. And that's because, if we think about those 3 digits for a moment, where do these 3 digits appear in this 38 cage? And the answer is, one of these digits can appear here. But the other 2 digits have to not be in this cage at all. Because obviously, if we just take this cell for an example and ask where it goes in the 38 cage, it clearly can't go in those cells and it clearly can't go in those cells. So its only possible position is here. And so if this one went here, these 2, the same geometry considerations apply to these 2. They can't appear there or there, so they couldn't be in the cage at all. So actually, what are we therefore saying? We're saying that one of these digits must be this digit. And now I'm going to say that by the medium of Sudoku, this digit, whatever this digit is, where does that digit now go in this box? And the answer to that is, I think, this specific digit... Oh no, hang on, I'm wrong. No, I'm wrong. I'm talking absolute nonsense. I was going to try and make the argument that because this digit couldn't go in those squares because it would repeat the digit in the cage, it had to go here. But that's not true. Because, of course, this digit and this digit might not be the same. It could be these 2 digits that go in there. Ah, right. Oh, that's annoying. I thought I'd alighted on something clever, but in fact I've just made myself look stupid. I don't know how to use that then. Well, so we know that 2 of these digits are the digits that don't appear in the 38 cage. So 2 of these digits have to be quite low, because the digits that don't appear in the 38 cage add up to 7. No, sorry, I'm not quite seeing how to use that. I mean, the same consideration is going to be true. What's the equivalent? It's that one and that one, isn't it? These cells. These three cells can only appear in exactly this cell in the 32 cage. So that means two of these three cells sum to 13. And the other one, the one that doesn't add to 13, goes here. And the two that do add to 13 don't go anywhere in that cage. Right. So maybe I've got to do some more thinking about this box then. Let me just... No, I was wondering whether there was any restriction on that cell. Because that cell, obviously, if this was a digit that repeated in the 34 cage, it would have to go exactly there. Because it couldn't go here and it couldn't go here. So if those two would... No, that doesn't do anything. Wow, okay. So I'm thinking about this all wrong. Maybe I've got to look down here then. Well, an 18 and a 19 cage have to have a 1 in them. And the way to work that out, this is a 5-cell cage, but imagine it was a 6-cell cage. Then its minimum sum would be 21, which is the triangular number for 6. 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6. I know that the triangular number for 6 is 21. So imagine that you left a 1 out of that 21 total. Well, you get 20. So I therefore know that the minimum 5 digits can add up to, if you miss a 1 out, is 20. So you can sort of back into the fact that there must therefore be a 1 in a 19 cage of 5 cells and an 18 cage of 5 cells. And the 18 cage, by that logic, must have a 2 in it, but the 19 cage doesn't need to have a 2 in it. Do I want to label that? Maybe I will. So, okay, no, oh, 9 cage? No, I mean, there are only 3 ways of making 9 in 3 cells, which are 1, 2, 6, 1, 3, 5, and 2, 3, 4. So, whatever's in this cage, you know, there's going to be some pressure between this 9 cage and this 19 cage. For instance, this digit here, if that is in the 19 cage, it could only go there. So there's this sort of logic everywhere in this puzzle, but nothing seems to be quite doing it, does it? Ah, okay, where does that... Oh, yes, okay. Where does this domino go in this box? Yes, that's an interesting question. So that domino there can't go in those 3 cells, obviously, and it can't repeat in its own cage, so that goes there. So now 2 of these 3 cells are blue. And the corollary of that, of course, is that that must apply here. These cells must be the same, which means 2 of these 3 cells are orange. How do we use that? If these were in the 34 cage, it doesn't do anything, I don't think. No, and the same doesn't apply for this digit at all. These 3 cells... Oh, okay. Those 3 cells have to be in those 3 cells. That's interesting. Let's just look at that. It's all getting a bit colourful. I'll change that colour. I don't like it. I'll use yellow. So these 3 cells, where do they go in this box? Well, they seem to have to not repeat in the 32 cage and not repeat in their own row. So they go in those 3 cells. Ah, and now I can use this trick. So the trick I was trying to do down here, I can use here, because this digit we know is in one of those 3 cells, and therefore must appear in the top row of the grid, and yet it can't repeat in its own cage, so these 2 cells cannot be this digit. So this digit is that digit. So this digit and this digit are the same. Right, so that's not a 5 then, because it has to be a 1, 2, 3, 4 or 6, which is still not quite doing enough, is it? So this digit is in one of those 2 positions, so that is also a 1, 2, 3, 4 or 6. But this digit is in one of those 3 positions, so that doesn't have any restriction on it. But, okay, let's use symmetry then, because we can do all of this again down here, can't we? So what are we saying? We're saying that we're asking where these 3 digits go in this box. So those 3 digits we shall make, I'm running out of good colours here, I'll make them grey. So they've got to go in there. And now we ask about this digit, which must go in one of those 3 cells but can't repeat in its own cage, so it goes there. Ah, right. Right, so this digit and this digit are the same. But we know that this digit must be 1, 2, 3, 4 or 6, and that can only be. So the only common digits are 4 and 6. So these squares are 4 and 6 now, which means this square is 4 or 6. And these 2 squares are the same. So we're getting into mad worlds of colouring now. Those 3 digits are the same digits by Sudoku. So, okay, what does that do? Right, so now that digit can't be a 4 or a 6, because we know there's a 4 or a 6 here that's appearing in both the 34 cage and the 16 cage. So imagine this was a 4 for a moment. How could this be a 6? Well, it can't be a 6, because then you couldn't put a 6 in this cage at all. This cell sees every remaining cell in that cage. So that's not able to be 4 or 6. That's not able to be 4 or 6, because that has exactly the same geometric properties. It seems to sees the whole of this cage. Now we can run that argument in reverse. So these 2 cells can't be 4 or 6. So the challenge here, how can we prove that? I bet you we end up with 4s and 6s on this diagonal. So that I reckon there must be a way of getting rid of 4 and 6 into these cells as well. But I can't see what that is immediately. Oh, now we've got a 4 or 6 on the diagonal. That's interesting. How can? Oh, of course. Look, where does this digit go in this box? It can't go in these cells by Sudoku, because those 2 digits are the same. It can't go in those cells, so it's in one of these cells. So there is a red digit in one of those cells, and not only do we now know 5 is going to be locked into one of these 19 or 18 cages in box 7, we now know this red digit is also in one of them. Right. Right, so how do we do this then? There's some absolutely magical stuff going on in this box 3. These W pentominoes in box 3. There's some absolute magic going on there. Right, here's an interesting point. there's a virtual 789 triple in this row. And that's because, let's think about what the nature is of purple. The nature of purple in this puzzle is 2 of these purple cells don't live in the 32 cage and therefore add up to 13. Well, think about the ways of making 13. 4, 9, 5, 8, or 6, 7. So there is a 7, 8, or 9 for certain in these 3 cells, and that's going to pair up with these cells and make a triple. So these digits have to be from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, which means that digit has to be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. So 2 of these digits, no, 2 of them add up to 13. One of them is high, and only one of them can be high because then they'll make a triple with this. So, I don't know if that's, I'm sorry if that's meant to be, if it's meant to be clear what that means. I'm not understanding it, I'm afraid. The same is going to be true, but probably in a very similar way down here, isn't it? 2 of these 3 cells add up to 7. 2 of these 3 add up to 7. The other one gets to go in here. Oh, but now... Oh. That cell now. Right, at the start of this, of my solve, I looked at this cell and I got excited about the fact that it can't repeat. Yes, I got excited about the fact that it can't repeat in its cage. Now let's revisit that because it's interesting. So if this digit went into this square here, how could that ever be true? That's the question I want to ask. How could that ever be true, that this was... Oh, this is huge. This means this is 4 or 6. Oh, good grief. Right. Yeah, how could these 2 digits ever be the same? If they're the same, then because this digit cannot repeat in its cage, so it can't go in this domino, it has to go there. But this is the red digit, which is here, so it can't be. That cannot be true. This digit and this digit are not the same. Therefore, what do we know about this digit? Well, therefore we know it's not in the 38 cage because we know one of these 2 is here. And if this digit is not in the 38 cage, it must be a digit that's capable of summing to 7 with another digit. So it cannot be a 7, 8 or 9. And therefore this is a 4 or 6 and this is a 4 or 6. Which means that, so this is a 4, 6 pair, so that's not 4 or 6. So this is a 7, 8, 9 triple. And does this logic work? Does this logic work this way round as well? Let me just think about this. So what I'm saying is, if this digit is here, so if it lives in the 32 cage, if this digit lives in the 32 cage, it must be here. And then it can't repeat in its own cage, so it has to be here, which is impossible because that's implying that, well, if this digit is that digit, there are 2 of it in box 2, because we know this digit is definitely that digit. So this digit is not in the 32 cage, which means it's part of a dyad which sum to 13. So it's not 1, 2, or 3. So this is 4. So I've now got a 4, 6 pair here as well. And these 2 digits are the same. Oh, look, yeah, I see what this is doing. Now these 2 digits are the same. But I've got a 4, 6 pair in this 16 cage, so we can get rid of 4, 6s from here. And now this diagonal is 4, 5, and 6, but even better than that, these 2, because they're the same, can't go there. And they're not this one. So that's a 4 or a 6, which places 5, and that's our first digit. Wow. Wow. That is so clever. That is, I mean, it's just such superb setting. Now, I'm going to ask where this digit, which is, remember, it's the same. I'm running out of colours here, but these 3 digits are the same. Let's use black for a moment. Oof, it's really horrible. Can I get away with that? Or can I reuse another colour maybe? Maybe I could free up blue and orange. I've not used... I'd quite like to retain that knowledge that these 2 go there, though. No, I'll stick with black just for a moment or two, especially to show this, because where does black go in box 5? Well, it can't go on the diagonal because of this one. It can't go here by Sudoku, and it can't go here by Sudoku. So it overlaps with red. So this is a red-black pair, which is a 4-6 pair. And now those 2 squares have to add up to 12, so they can't be 4, 8, or 5, 7. So this is 3, 9. Oh, this is lovely. So now, oh look at, this is just, this is so good. Florian, this is so good, because look, now look, where does 9 go in this box? And the answer is not on the diagonal, and you can't put 9 in a 5-cell 18 cage, because then the other 4 digits will have to add up to 9, and the minimum 4 digits add up to is 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4, which is 10. So the 9 goes in the 19 cage, which means we now know what this 19 cage is, because the other 4 digits have got to add up to 10. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 9 as a quintuple. But now 5, oh yes. So now 5 and 6 on the diagonal. Let's look at those. Where do they go? They can't go in those squares in box 7, so they have to go in an 18 cage, which means that 2 of these digits are 5 and 6. Therefore, the other 3 digits in the cage have to add up to 7, so they must be 1, 2, and 4. So this cage is now known to be 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, and we know that the 5 and the 6 are there, so they're not here. So now the 3 on the diagonal has to be in this cage, which means it's not here. So now I've got these weird 1, 2, 4s looking into this box, but I don't know if these are the same combination or not. And, this is better. Right, 9 cage here. This 9 cage can't be 1, 2, 6 or 2, 3, 4 anymore. If it's either of those, you'll have to put a single digit into this domino. So this is 1, 3, 5. And if it's 1, 3, 5, I can knock 1 out of here. So now I've got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 quintuple in box in box 4, but I've also got a 2, 4 pair looking at this 4, 6 pair, so that's filled in. 6 is now one of those 2 cells by Sudoku, look. I've got 2, 4 pair in my 19 cage, so we can do this. Now I've got 1, 3 and 9 here, so I can get rid of 1 from there. So 3 has to be in one of those 3 cells now, because the 3 in box 4 is in column 1 and column 2, and the 3 in box 7 is in column 1 and column 2. So that's the 2 3s that we expect to exist in these 2 columns, absorbed in those 6 cells. So we can't put more 3s up here, we're going to have to put a 3 over there. But the 32 cage absolutely, in fact it needs to have a 3 in it, because it must have all of the low digits. The lowest digit it could be missing is a 4. This 4 is knocking a 4 out of those cells, so this is a 1-2 pair. So now I know what these 3 digits are. These are the other digits, which are 2, 7 and 8. So now this digit has to be a 1 to complete the diagonal. And look at this 1 looking at this cage, so that has to be a 1. Which means this has to be a 1 by Sudoku. There, now we've got a 3 looking up here. This is the sort of thing that will just make you fall in love with puzzles. This is so clever. So now these 2 squares have got to be from 7, 8, 9, because the 6 is in one of those 2 cells. And okay, can we do better than this? Yes, I can still keep going. Look, 6 in this box has now got to go here, so that's got to be a 6. I've now got a 4, 5 pair in the bottom row. Here comes Maverick again. 4, it has to be in one of those 2 squares, which might get interesting in a minute for the 18 cage. Because the 18 cage now can't have 1, 2, 4 or 6 in it. Yeah, okay, let's think about that a bit harder. In fact, there's a few ways I can see that we can do this now. One way is to look at 5 in box 5 and ask where it goes, and it has to be in that domino. And that, look, locks it out of the 18 cage. So there's now a 5 in this domino by Sudoku, which means that is a 4, 5 pair. And now we can do maths. We know the whole box adds up to 45, but here we've got 9, 18, and another 18 is 36, so that digit has to be a 9, which fixes the 9 and fixes the 3. Good grief. And now the contents of this are 6, no, they aren't that, they're 3, 7 and 8, aren't they? Which we can probably do something with, but I don't immediately see how. Okay. Well, I still can't complain. I mean, this has been the last 5 minutes have been absolutely remarkable in terms of how much progress we've been able to make. Now, the blue domino has to be formed of these 3 digits, so 5, 7, 8 and 9. So I'm tempted to put that in now, and especially as that cell, look, whoops, that cell can't be 5, it can't be 9 by Sudoku, so this is 7 or 8, which gives me a 7, 8 pair in the column, because that 9 is knocking itself out of there, which gives me a 2 in the corner. So now let's study this column a bit harder. We've still got to put the digits 4 and 6. I feel like we've had lots of 4 and 6. Now I've got a 4, 6 pair over here in row 3 and in row 1 actually. Okay, that's great. So yes, okay, so this is the black 4, 6, isn't it? Because it must be this one and this one are the same. Because red goes up here. So this is the red one. Now I'm just wondering if I can disambiguate these 4s and 6s now somehow. Because I have I have got them figured out in box 5. Don't know. I've got an awful lot actually of high digits. Oh no, not quite enough. I thought I was going to have loads of high digits in this row, but that's not quite true. That cell sees a 4-6 pair, so that can't be 4 or 6. Whoops. Not quite seeing what to do now. But perhaps what we can do... actually, I've got an awful lot of pencil marking in boxes 1 and 2 that I haven't really got in these boxes. So what did I do? What did I do here that should allow me to mimic that because of the symmetry? I don't know is the answer. Do I know? I see. If the black digit was 6, I would know it was here. But if the black digit is 4, it could be in either of those two squares. But the black digit we know is not in the 38 cage. So the other digit missing from the 38 cage is either a 1 or a 3, because we know the two digits together missing from the 38 cage add up to 7. Right, okay, and I know that this digit repeats in these two squares, and therefore must be those squares, so that's a 7 or an 8. It can't be a 9. Oh, that's so close. Well, it gives me a 7-8 pair in this row. Oh, I've got a 1 here. Look, more Sudoku. 1, 2 can go in. Oh, I thought that was going to be the breakthrough, but no. But well, okay, let's come back to this row now, because I've got effectively these 6 digits now known. And the only digits I've got left to place are 4s, 5s and 6s. So these are 4s, 5s and 6s. And that can't be a 5. So now I've got a 4-6 pair in this column as well. And that square must be red. Which might be interesting. I don't know. That could be the black digit, but it doesn't necessarily have to be, I don't think. So there's a 7 or an 8 in one of those two squares. And... okay. See, in this box, I was able to get a real handle on these digits. How did I do that? Oh, I know how I did that. That's because 2 of these orange digits have to go in these cells. So these are from 1, 2, 3 and 5. And that can't be 2. That can't be 1. That can't be 1. That can't be 2. That's a 2-4 pair in the row. That can't be 5. There's a 5 here. So this is 1 or 3. Which feels like it might matter. Not quite seeing how to use that though, if I'm honest. It'd be great if we could do something with 5, wouldn't it? So I've done the diagonal. I've done the 18 cage. What else have I got still left to do? I know that one of these digits is 7, 8. The other one is the counterpart to this. So these squares are from 1, 3, 7 and 8. I.e. the digits that have to be missing from the 38 cage. So there's a 7, 8 in the 38 cage, and then there should be the missing digit. So these are from 1, 3, 7. That can't be 1. That one seems to be able to be anything useful it wants to be. which is very annoying. Okay. So there's still some little rinky-dink we need to find here if we're going to finish the puzzle. What about, can I do that same logic? Do I know what this digit is? Because I managed to get this digit down to 7 or 8, so I should be able to locate approximately what this digit is. Fly just flew past. So this... Right, so the counterpart to this digit, which we know is not in the 32 cage, is a 9 or a 7. So one of these digits is a 7 or a 9, and that makes the complement with these squares, doesn't it? Oh yes, okay. So perhaps what I need to be thinking about is the bottom digits here, because they see a virtual 1, 2, 3 triple. And they see a 4, 6 pair. Yeah, okay, that's quite interesting. So in this column, we've got a 1, 2, 3 triple, a 4, 6 pair, and a 5. So these have to be high digits. They've got to be from 7, 8, 9, and that's not 9. And now I've got a look at this. I've got a 7, 8 pair in the row, so that's a 3. Good grief. And now I've got a 7, 8 pair here, so this is a 9. I've got a 7, 8 pair here. I've got 7, 8 pairs all over the place. This must matter. This must matter. Right, come on, just put it together now, Simon. How does this finish? Well, in this row, I've got 1, 3 pair at the bottom of the grid, which means that's not a 3. Wow, come on. I've got this 1, 2, 3 triple. I've got this funny 7, 8 transposing itself here. We might have to colour the 7s and 8s in a minute. But before we do that, I think we've got to now... So the way we've done this is we've gone up here, then we've bounced down here. Now I think we've got to go up here again. Because what I was remembering, of course, is that there is a virtual 7, 8, 9 triple between this quadruple. Because one of these digits is the high counterpart to this, adding up to 13. Now that means if we study this row, these digits have to be from 1, 2 and 3, and that's a 2. Good grief, yeah, that's what I've missed, isn't it? That gives me a 2 and a 4 here, a 4 and a 5 here. Now there's a 5 in one of those two cells. That is no longer a 5, which gives me a 7, 8, 9 triple in this row. So the digits we're missing in this row are 1s, 2s, 3s and 5s, aren't they? So these squares here have to be 1, 3 or 5. That sees 1. That doesn't seem to see anything, which I'm quite surprised about. Pretty sure I'm missing a trick there. But if these are not 5 anymore, because these, we know that the blue digits are the same. So now, in fact, we know those are the blue digits. And I wonder if we can do... Oh, we don't know the same on this side. That's strange. So there's some asymmetry now arising from the 5s. So it is possible for this to be orange. Okay. That's not 2 anymore. So there's now a 1, 3, 5 triple in here, in this 32 cage, look. Gosh, we must be right on the cusp of cracking this, I think. Just got to spot, I think, 1 or 2 more things and then we'll be good to go. How do we do that? Come on, Simon. Use your brain. Come on, brain. Oh, that's a 6 now by Sudoku. This 6 that's probably been available for a while. So this is 7, 8 or 9. Right, now we just want to come and have another think about this as well. So what? Yeah, okay, one of these digits is this digit. So one of these digits is 1, 3, 5. The other digit is the counterpart to the 4, 6, so it's 7 or 9. So can we just do some sort of magical eliminations here that are going to help us? 5 can come out of there. because of this 5. That's something. Yes, so this digit can't be 5, can it? Because it would have to transpose down here, and it can't. So that digit is not 5, which means this digit is a 5, and it means that this digit is a 5 by Sudoku. And now, this digit is, you've guessed it, 7, 8, or 9, which gives us a triple in the top row, and tells us this square is 1, 2, or 3. Which still, I don't think quite does it. Does it? Is there something obvious here? I'm sure there probably is. I can't see what it is. I'm not quite spotting it. There's no 1 in there. 3, 7. That's got to be 7, 8, or 9. Because it can't be 3, because why didn't I think this could be 3? There's a 3 looking at it. That's the reason. It's quite a good reason. So in this row I need to put a 2 somewhere. Can that be a 2? Yes, absolutely it can. Can this be a 2? Possibly. Possibly. Right, okay. So what I'm thinking now I might do is get rid of all this colouring, because it's confusing me, and I want to look at the 7s and the 8s, because it feels like I've written 7 and 8 into a lot of cells. Although maybe that's premature as well, because I'm now noticing that some of my recent pencil marking has not been quite as good on that front. Okay, have I got any better ideas than that? Nothing's immediately jumping out. No. Okay, I'm going to try that. So what do I do? Control A to highlight the grid. Wow, that's looking a bit less chromatic, isn't it? Right, let's try down here. So we'll use blue and orange. So that means this one is orange, this one is blue. Now, can we extend this any further at all? Yes, that's got to be orange. So there's an orange up here. There's a blue here, so this one is blue. Yeah, this is good. This is actually working, because now we can ask where blue goes in box 3. And it can't go there, and it can't go there. So that's blue all of a sudden, and not therefore a 9. So now blue is in one of these 2 cells. Now, can we improve upon that? It's close, isn't it? It's really close. One of these is orange. I know one of these is blue, but I don't know which one. I know one of these is blue, but I don't know which one. These aren't none of these are quite aligning. Everything is just slightly skew-if. It's quite slightly not in the right place for me to actually make progress. Wow, okay, so we might have to do more thinking of a different kind, I think. Let's instead then worry about... Oh, that's a 1, so that's not a 1. Aha, so there's a 1 in one of those, which means that's not a 1. So maybe it's 2s and... I've got a 1, 2, 3 triple here. Oh, I think I already knew about that if I'd actually thought about it. So I've got a 1, 2, 3 triple there. Can we use that somehow? How about this column? I've got a 4-6 pair, but I don't know which of these is the clever digit that's got to accompany the 4 or the 6. to add up to 7 and not appear in the 38 cage. Ah, okay. We could, which will amuse Mark, we could end up with a fully pencil mark grid at any moment, I think. Yeah, I think we're going in that direction, aren't we? I should be able to go a bit further, I'm sure. It feels like I'm not quite. There's definitely a 9 in one of these. Maybe it feels like I'm not quite doing enough Sudoku. That's what it feels like. Now, do I know there's a 9 in this domino? No. I know, actually, I do tell you what I do know. I know there's an 8 in that domino, because in this box, we know one of these is a high digit, a 7, 8, or 9, and you can see it can't be 8. So there must be an 8 up here, which means this is not an 8. Which means there's an 8 in this domino, which means that is not an 8. Oh, come on. It's very close now. No, still won't give up. I don't think it is giving up. Okay, let's come back to this cage and think about this a bit more seriously. Because one thing we know about this cage is that it's the digits it's missing add up to 7, and they include this digit, which is a 4 or a 6. In other words, this has a 2 and a 5 in it. Well, where does the 2 go? That 2 seems to be telling us it's there. That's surely huge. Yes, so this is a 2. Ah, yeah, this is good. This is good now. So that's a 2 by Sudoku. So this is a 2. I've now got a 1, 3 pair at the top of the grid. How many 2s have I got? Almost all of them. Now I have got all of them. So now this digit is a 4, 5, or 6. It's not a 6 by Sudoku. So this is 4. There's a 4, 5, 6 triple in this column. So this is 5. Well, not 5. I've now got a 1, 3 pair. So this digit is, oh, I can see it's 7, 8, or 9. I could have got that from this row anyway. So that's 7, 8, or 9. Do we know anything about that? I know it's not blue. That's what I know. Okay. So I know, the other thing I know is that surely there's a 5 in here. Because if there's a 2 in it, there must be a 5 in it, and that seems to have to be there. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. So that's a 5. And now, surely this row's done, isn't it? 1, 3, 7, 8, 9. Yeah. Oh, no, I've broken it. No, I haven't broken it. I was about to say, where does 9 go in this row? Thinking I couldn't put it anywhere, but look, it can go here. So it has to go there. Good grief. So that's 9, that's 3. That's not 3 anymore. That's a 7 or an 8. That might... Ah, yes, that's blue. Ha ha. Which means that's blue. Yes, I've got another 9. That must be 9 because that's blue. And blue is not 7 or 8. Well, blue is 7 or 8, but it's definitely not 9. So there we go. 2, 9, which means 9, 9, 9. That means that's 7. And that means that's 8. And there we go. So now we know blue, wherever we find blue, is 8. Which might mean something. That means orange is 7. So that should become orange as a result. This is no longer able to be 8, look. So this digit is 1, oh, this digit is a 7, just to finish this row off. So I've got a 1, 3 pair here, which means this digit is now known to be, you've guessed it, 8, therefore that's 7. We'll do the colouring once we've, yeah, that's a 3 by Sudoku, so that's a 1, that's a 3, that's a 1. This is no longer able to be 8, so we've got a 7, 9 pair here. This is an 8 at the top of the column. Therefore, this is a... Well, I know it's not an 8. I wonder if I'm going to have to work out... That's not 1 or 3. Yeah, this is interesting. This domino adds up to 13, and whatever it is not in here. So I still don't know what it is, I don't think. Probably it'll be resolved by, yeah, look, it's going to be resolved by something that's going on down at the bottom. So 8 and 7 go in. Maybe. Maybe. This is still looking a bit like we've got some weird deadly pattern here. Ah, no, that's 9. There you go. So that becomes 7. And we know we need two of these to add up to 13 to not go in the 32 cage. So that's got to be 6. That's got to be 4. That's got to be 6. That's got to be 4. 6 and 4. 4 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 5 and weird deadly pattern on 1s and 3s, which we'll worry about in a moment. This square here has to be a 9. So therefore that square's a 4, which I did by maths, but I could have done by Sudoku. That square's a 6. That's a 9. That's a 7. And, right, what's resolving this? Oh, I know. I know. Is it going to be... Yeah, oh, it is. Look. The 1-3 pattern, we know that this cage is missing 2 digits that add up to 7, which now include the digit 6, which cannot go in it. So the other digit that must be accompanying that must be a 1, and that resolves the final deadly pattern. Wow. That is such a clever puzzle. That is such a clever puzzle. Osaka by Florian Wortmann. That really is mesmerizing. I think there was probably opportunities to do the latter bit of the Sudoku a bit more smoothly than I did it. I forgot that this cage needed to have basically 2 pairs that do add up to 5 in it. And I think if I'd focused on that a bit sooner and noticed that none of these digits could be well, I think I noticed it needed to have a 2 and a 5 in it. I can't quite remember how I figured that out, but I did. And then once we put those 2 digits into this box, the Sudoku sort of flowed quite smoothly thereafter. But the stuff at the beginning was just to die for. What was it? It was something like these digits had to go in those cells. And it led to these 4-6 pairs, which were just beautiful. And once you got those, we got the 4-6 pairs there. And then the way it chained around these 18 and 19 cages was just so clever. It was so clever. And then this 9 cage, the selection of the cage totals to lead to all the beautiful logic. Wow. Another quite long video. Was that hard? I don't know. I'd be interested in the comments. Probably be a load of comments from people who've done it in 20 minutes and said, Simon, why were you so slow? But I suspect some of you may have found that fairly difficult. I found it difficult. Let me just finish off the 8s with the bluing, just so that no one gets cross with me. Thanks for watching. Let me know if you enjoyed the puzzle in the comments. I do enjoy reading them, especially when they're kind. And we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.